I'm here with the most important car Nissan has ever made. This car will set Nissan up for the future. No other car will have as much impact as this car right here. And of course, I'm talking about the Nissan Leaf. As you notice, it's not too dissimilar from last year's model, as Nissan has kept with the second generation design. Behind the Nissan logo, you have a front grille that's completely covered because, of course, this is an electric car. There's no need to bring in air for an internal combustion engine. But behind this transparent layer is a very interesting hexagonal pattern, which really looks striking in the sunlight. Now up here we have aggressive front headlights down to 17-inch wheels on the 60 kilowatt per hour model. Going towards the side, we have a side profile that I would best describe as a gerbil. It's not a great looking design. It just kind of is what it is. It's been part of the Nissan Leaf design philosophy for a long time. It follows in line with a lot of other EVs in this hatchback style. I don't think it's particularly pretty. Moving towards the back, we have this blue accenting, which I think looks particularly good. We have the back taillights in this boomerang design that Nissan has brought over from the 370Z. And over in the back seat, you have 2 to 3 seats with a decent amount of legroom. It's probably not great if you're a particularly tall person, but for kids or for just throwing some stuff in the back, it should be more than fine. The 2 front doors have a button to unlock and lock the car. And with that, you never really need to take out your keys. You just kind of walk up to the car, it opens, you jump in, you turn it on, it just goes like that. And with that, let's jump inside. It's not the most luxurious drive, I must admit. There's a bit more wind noise than you would expect, and there's a bit more in-cabin vibration. But that's to be expected in an EV that's all about saving energy. In-cabin noise comes from lesser sound deadening material, because the point is to keep the car light, and the lighter the car is, the greater mileage it'll have. This particular model that I'm driving has 200 some miles of range. And of course that varies based on how you're driving, if you're driving on eco mode, how the weather is outside. If it's colder, you do see a pretty significant drop in overall mileage. So that is something to consider. Increased cabin road noise comes down to also the tires. Here we are driving Energy tires by Michelin, which are obviously meant to ensure the car gets that extra mile. One thing you will notice is that when you're driving this car is that you will hear the tires squeal a lot. Now, we haven't put this in a wet test, essentially, in a heavy rainstorm or whatever on camera, but as I was driving during a storm here in Houston, overall it did hold its own, but there were times where it lost a little bit of grip, but the traction control did kick in and made sure I was on the road. Interior wise, you're looking at a very, very standard cabin, something straight from Nissan. If you've driven like the 2021 Nissan Leaf, it's pretty much exactly identical. We're seeing some, a bit plusher leather seating, heated steering wheel. We have an instrument cluster, which is actually standard across all the models, right? One thing that Nissan has done, apart from lowering its price point rather significantly, is made a lot more features standard. Going into the center of the console, we have the shift knob, which has this blue accent, which I absolutely love. It's something that's defined the Nissan Leaf. You have a 7-inch touchscreen up front. It's not the zippiest display by any means. The resolution is kind of low, but it does have Apple CarPlay. It does have Android Auto, 2 features which are important for the modern daily commuter. There's also a screen up front, which gives you a whole load of information. You can toggle through that information rather easily, and it lets you know the information up front. And there's obviously the speedometer on the right. One thing you'll notice with the 2022 Nissan Leaf is that no hands. Nissan includes what's called its Pro Pilot Assist, and it's not Tesla Autopilot by any means. For example, you can't just input a destination and sleep in the back like some tech bro out in San Francisco. But what you have is essentially a lane assist program that keeps the car in between the lanes and following the car in front of it. You just kind of set the miles per hour you want to keep it at, and it'll drive kind of leisurely at that pace, keeping a distance. Now, the Pro Pilot isn't perfect by any means. There are times, especially if there's road work going on, and let's say lines have been kind of painted over and cut and things are kind of like mismatched, the car can get a little confused. So Nissan is constantly reminding you to keep your hands close to the wheel or touching the wheel every 30 seconds or so when things kind of go awry. There are times where I felt like, oh my gosh, is it gonna kind of hit the car next to me? And it doesn't. Obviously, it stays within the lanes and follows the cars in front of it. And you can see like the steering wheel turning very slightly. It's doing everything for you. What I will say is that whenever I do have ProPilot Assist on, the battery life tends to go down a bit more quickly than if it were off. And I think that's just kind of the computer systems and the camera systems all running at full throttle, making sure that it doesn't hit the wall.
All right, here we are getting the 2022 Nissan Leaf a quick charge up. We're at an EVgo charging station using a CHAdeMO-style charge plug. CHAdeMO is a charge standard that's common with a lot of Japanese manufacturers, and what we're getting here is a 50 kilowatt per hour charge speed, which is a moderate speed. So you're looking at a 0 to 80% charge in about an hour, and that last 80 to 100% will take another hour. Now, electric car manufacturers do recommend that you only charge that 80%, as going above that can degrade the life of the battery over time. Next to the CHAdeMO charger is a standard SAE charge port, which can be used for home. Now, the Nissan Leaf 2022 does include a home fast charger, which you can plug into a regular wall outlet, and that's good for like an overnight charge. Unfortunately, the Nissan Leaf does not have the CCS charge standard, which can get you to 150 kilowatt per hour charge speeds, which is considerably faster. But overall, for its mileage, if you need a quick charge in about an hour, you're good with the CHAdeMO. So final thoughts on the 2022 Nissan Leaf. Is it the cool sports car that we saw at the top? No, but I firmly believe that this is the most important car in Nissan's lineup. This, along with the Aria, will set Nissan up for the future. With new environmental regulations both in the EU and in the US, could mean the end of the internal combustion engine. And Nissan has positioned itself as leading this new category. What we have here is a car, an EV, that can be had for under $20,000. And for that, Nissan deserves a lot of credit.